All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. Welcome to the first day of June, and it might disappoint because we had a flurry of headlines over the weekend. There was a lot of back and forth. It's supposed to be about trade. It's supposed to be about back and forth. It's supposed to be about this. And then we have a rumor. It's supposed to be about back and forth. We are back here barely moving on Monday, and now the question is, will the data, Jerome Powell, and all of that move us this week, and what type of summer do we get? But I'll tell you right now, Jerome Powell today, he is not going to be talking about the economy. It is only going to be like an intro to something on Congress. But other than that, we are at the back end of earnings. We are entering in the second half of the year, and Chattadonia, I hope you're locked and loaded, baby, but... Good morning. How are you? Are you ready? What up, Gunner? What up, Shaky? Winning loser. Dos Nacho Connor. Laurie, as they're doing. Mr. Forrest Gump. You fail me. 10 women. El Chapada. Oh, my goodness. Happy Monday. Oh, I hope you guys had a good weekend. Tyree, Devin, Canella, Christian, Laker, Jay. Good morning, baby. What up, Dots? What up, old man Blizzy, Mark, Mr. Edwards, Iculus. Good morning, babe. It's Monday. Y'all know it's me. Better wake your ass up, bro. It's Monday. Oh, smoke with it. The Marshmallow, Austin, Gus Gonzo. Good morning. What up, Deco? Star, you guys know it's Monday. You know, can I tell y'all good work? Good work. You woke up early. You know that. Oh, Mike, you got to wake up earlier now. Don't you? I'm about to start feeling man. So, Chattadonia. I hope you feel it good. What up, Q? What up, Jacob? It's going to be a good one. Let's see what type of start to June we get and whether or not we have the craziness and weird volatility or maybe we get a clean break. But y'all better get used to Chop City. But good morning. Here is Josh AI with the news. Stocks fall as trade risk flare-up saps confidence. Global stocks started the new month under pressure as an escalation in global trade tensions and geopolitical uncertainty weakened investor confidence. S&P 500 futures retreated 0.5%, while European and Asian equities also declined. The dollar shed 0.4%, extending a run of 5 consecutive monthly losses. Treasury yields rose across the curve, with the 10-year rate up 4 basis points to 4.44%. The latest twists in President Donald Trump's tariff agenda have heightened market uncertainty following mutual accusations between the U.S. and China of breaching a trade deal and Trump's pledge to double tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. The tensions have helped stall a rebound in U.S. stocks as traders fear that the instability may persist in the absence of lasting agreements. Meanwhile, Ukraine staged a series of strikes deep inside Russia ahead of peace talks scheduled for Monday in Istanbul. Just when we thought the noise around tariffs was quietening down, recent events have shown that investors should take nothing for granted until it is signed and sealed, said Daniel Murray, Chief Executive Officer of EFG Asset Management in Zurich. While volatility is once again picking up amid the latest tensions, strategists say it's unlikely to match the levels seen during the sell-off that followed Trump's tariff announcement on April 2nd. Traders now increasingly view such moves as negotiation tactics aimed at securing more favorable terms. The sensitivity of investors and of traders toward this tariff news is probably going down a bit. Max Kettner, chief multi-asset strategist at HSBC Holdings PLC, said it is primarily a negotiation tool. I don't have to factor in a persistent drag on earnings, a persistent drag on the earnings outlook. The dollar traded near the lowest level since 2023 after extending losses for the year to 7.6%. Slowing U.S. growth and interest rate cuts will further push the greenback into a tumble to levels last seen during the pandemic, according to Morgan Stanley strategists. We think rates and currency markets have embarked on sizable trends that will be sustained, taking the U.S. dollar much lower and yield curves much steeper after 2 years of swing trading within wide ranges, they wrote. Investors will be watching Friday's non-farm payrolls report to assess the impact of Trump's trade policies on the U.S. economy and the outlook for Federal Reserve rate cuts. This is a backdrop where markets are increasingly discounting the tariff news. Laura Cooper, global investment strategist at Nuveen, told Bloomberg TV, "We're more focused on the extent of economic damage that is potentially going to come through in U.S. data." Brent crude oil advanced towards $65 a barrel as OPEC Plus hiked production less than some had feared and geopolitical tensions flared. Demand for haven assets is pushing gold toward the biggest gain in more than a week. Corporate highlights: Sanofi SA agreed to buy Blueprint Medicines Corp. For at least $9.1 billion as the French drug maker further expands its rare immunological disease portfolio. Hong Kong developer New World Development Company is sliding deeper into distress after jolting investors by delaying interest payments on some bonds. BID company shares continued their plunge despite monthly sales climbing to the highest this year as the steep discounts the industry uses to entice buyers draw scrutiny from Beijing. Christian Dior named Jonathan Anderson its next women's wear designer as owner. LVMH seeks to revive growth at the struggling brand. IAG SA said the weaker demand on transatlantic routes has shown signs of easing over the past 3 weeks. General Electric Company is exercising some cost increases to pass on additional charges caused by U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. Buyers' strike and America's swelling federal budget gap and growing debt burden are scaring money managers away from the world's marquee risk-free asset, the 30-year U.S. Treasury bond. Instead, investment firms including Double Line Capital, PIMCO, and TCWA are favoring shorter maturities that carry less interest rate risk but still offer a decent yield. It's a portfolio move that has worked well this year as a pickup in government spending has dimmed confidence in longer maturities globally. The U.S. 30-year bond has been a stark underperformer in 2025. Yields on the maturity have risen while those on 2, 5, and 10-year notes have fallen. This sort of divergence is rare. The last time it happened over a full year was in 2001, underscoring the pressure on the long bond as investors demand added compensation to lend to the U.S. government for such a long period. So bad has been the rout that speculation has even begun to swirl that the Treasury might scale back or halt auctions of its longest tenor. Russia and Ukraine restart talks after Kyiv hits bombers. Russia and Ukraine resumed direct peace talks in Istanbul a day after Kyiv staged one of its boldest aerial attacks inside Russia, destroying long-range bombers and other aircraft. Our fundamental expectation is that the talks will be productive, that concrete progress will be made as soon as possible, and that the desired outcome will be achieved, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said during opening remarks broadcast on TV. "We are ready to take any steps that will facilitate this process." Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov is leading his country's delegation to the talks on Monday opposite Russia's negotiators, headed by presidential aide Vladimir Medinsky. The meeting marks only the second time the two warring sides have held public negotiations since the early days of the conflict and follows a first round of talks in May. Wall Street sees deeper dollar out as currency nears 2023 low. Wall Street banks are reinforcing their calls that the dollar will weaken further, hit by interest rate cuts, slowing economic growth, and President Donald Trump's trade and tax policies. Morgan Stanley said the greenback will tumble to levels last seen during the COVID-19 pandemic by the middle of next year, while JP Morgan Chase and Company remains bearish on the U.S. currency. Goldman Sachs Group Inc. said Washington's efforts to explore alternative revenue sources should tariffs be impeded, may be even more negative for the dollar. The dollar fell against all its Group of 10 peers on Monday amid a flare-up in global trade tensions. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index dropped 0.5%, extending its decline since the start of April and nearing its weakest level since July 2023. We think rates and currency markets have embarked on sizable trends that will be sustained, taking the US dollar much lower and yield curves much steeper after 2 years of swing trading within wide ranges, Morgan Stanley strategists, including Matthew Hornback, wrote in a May 31st note. The bank forecasts the US dollar index will fall about 9% to hit 91 by around this time next year. Top overnight news, trade tariffs. Besson anticipates a call between Trump and China's Xi soon, with WH economic advisor Hassett expecting it this week. CNBC. China accuses U.S. of breaching their recent trade deal and pledges to defend its interests. Axios. Bloomberg. U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick downplays tariff legal uncertainties, stating EU negotiations are ongoing. Reuters. U.S. reliance on China for rare earth magnets may lead to economic disruption due to supply limits. NY Times. Japanese PM Ishiba considering visit to Washington to meet Trump before the G7 summit, seeking progress on trade deals. Reuters. Japan's top trade negotiator Akazawa may return to the U.S. for more trade talks this week, with hopes for a deal soon. Bloomberg. Washington. Besson assures U.S. will not default on its debt as Senate considers tax and spending bill that includes raising debt limit. Bloomberg. Trump plans to push for his tax and spending megabill this week to address Republican concerns about deficit spending. Link. Trump's bill may boost growth or increase debt, with Republicans divided on its impact. Axios. Trump administration moving to repeal Biden-era restrictions on oil drilling in Alaska's petroleum reserve. Bloomberg. Central banks. Fed's Waller sees only temporary inflation impact from tariffs, says rate cuts still possible this year. Reuters. ECB set for last easy rate cut, but internal divisions may arise due to an increasingly complicated inflation outlook. Bloomberg. FT. BOJ has set aside maximum provisions for bond transaction losses, indicating preparation for rising interest rates. Nikkei. Bowie Deputy Governor Breeden highlights a weakening labor market and slow growth, noting ongoing disinflation. Reuters. Economy. OECD warns advanced economies could face significant GDP losses from rapid supply chain localization. FT. China's manufacturing activity contracted for the second month in May, according to an official PMI survey. Nikkei. Asia's factory activity declined in May due to weak demand in China and U.S. tariffs. Reuters. Eurozone manufacturing downturn eased in May, with index rising to 49.4 km, nearing stabilization. Reuters. Average price of new homes in 100 Chinese cities rose 0.30% in May, indicating some effect from supportive policies. Reuters. China urges automotive industry to stop aggressive price wars, citing threats to sector health and sustainability. Reuters. Development of offices in Britain hits 10-year low due to economic uncertainty and high costs. FT. UK house prices unexpectedly increase in May, indicating resilient demand despite the end of a tax break for buyers. Yahoo Finance. Markets. Indeed, bond investors are watching labor indicators for shifts in Treasury yields and Fed rates after May's decline. Bloomberg. Leveraged funds have reduced bullish Japanese yen bets, reflecting uncertainty over the currency's outlook. Bloomberg. Geopolitics. Ukraine conducted drone attacks on 4 military airports in Russia, destroying over 40 warplanes. ABC. FT. Reuters. Russian and Ukrainian officials will meet in Istanbul for peace talks, but significant disagreements remain. Reuters. Iran demands assurances of sanctions removal before agreeing to a nuclear deal with the U.S. Bloomberg. Taiwan says China escalated military pressure in May, deploying numerous warships and vessels. Bloomberg. Polish nationalist opposition candidate Karol Nawrocki won the presidential election with 50.89% of the votes. FT. Reuters. Corporate. Apple appealing an EU order to make iOS more compatible with rival products under the Digital Markets Act. Link. Axios. Meta aims to enable brands to create AI-generated ads by next year, raising quality concerns among some. Link. IATA's head warns trade barriers and delivery delays threaten air travel growth and profit forecasts. Reuters. Samsung Electronics close to deal to invest in Perplexity AI, integrating its search technology into Samsung devices. Bloomberg. Sanofi agrees to acquire Blueprint Medicines for up to $9.5 billion, focusing on rare immunological diseases. Reuters. Bidders for BP's Castrol considering offers below the expected $8 billion valuation, with interest from China's CITIC FT. FT, why did he slow down at the end? Did you hear that? Sounded like he was getting tired. It's a computer. That doesn't... Anyways, we got more, baby. Happy Monday. S&P futures, they're down by 0.3. Comes after U.S. equities finished higher last week, with the Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ all up over 1%. S&P ended up over 6% in May. Its biggest gain for that month since 1997. Mag 7 ETF jumped nearly 14%. Treasuries weaker with the curve bear steepening. Long-dated yields back up 4 to 5 basis points. Dollar is down by 0.6. Gold is up by 1.9, and Bitcoin down by 0.3. WTI is up by 4.1 on smaller than feared OPEC output hike and geopolitical tensions. Busy from a headline perspective, trade and overhang in sentiment as Trump said the U.S. will double tariffs on imported steel and aluminum to 50. In addition, U.S. and China have accused each other of reneging on recent trade agreements hashed out in Geneva, though still some hope for Trump-Xi call this week. Geopolitical tensions between U.S. and China have also ratcheted up after Defense Secretary Hegseth warned that threats against Taiwan could be imminent. Nothing particularly incremental in terms of the reconciliation bill, though multiple reports highlighted Senate pushback. Also, more discussions about market concerns surrounding the deficit implications on the Fed front. Waller reiterated inflation impact from tariffs, key transitory, and expects rate cuts later this year. Politico latest to flag SLR reform on the way for banks in a move that could help treasuries. And OPEC agreed to a third straight monthly increase, though the move was widely telegraphed. ISM manufacturing for May and construction spending for April on the calendar this morning. Fed Logan at 10:15, Goolsby at 12:45. And Powell at 1. Powell will be delivering opening remarks at a conference commemorating the 75th anniversary of the International Finance Division of the Fed. Several high-profile data points over the week, including JOLTS job openings on Tuesday, ADP private payrolls, ISM services, and Beige Book on Wednesday, initial claims on Thursday, and non-farm payrolls on Friday. Oh, excuse me. Meta said to be looking at full automation of ad creation, targeting process using AI. Dell and CDW reportedly coming under scrutiny as federal government looks to extract savings on tech contracts. Target turnaround discussed in weekend financial press as needing more drastic action. Flutter and DraftKings down on Illinois' budget proposal for sports betting tax increase. BNTX up on big partnership with BMY. Dow to sell 50% of its interest in Dow Oxa and expects proceeds of $125 million. Myrna secured U.S. approval for new COVID vaccine, though for a narrower group of people. CPB mixed with better fiscal Q3 organic EPS, but full year guided to the low end on weaker snacks. BPMC to be acquired by Sanofi for $9.1 billion. SAIC quarter one EPS missed on higher costs, though book to bill a bright spot. Wow. Book to bill. Book. I like bill. I like books. This is good deal. Good deal. Yalla. We have a market pre-market move. Wow. Wow. What time is it? Okay, yeah, we got good time. We got to go through a lot of biotechs today. So that's something I would watch. BNTX, they're up by 11.3. Agreement with Bristol Myers for deliverment of BioNTech's investigational biospecific antibody. Merda up 3.2, receives FDA approval for COVID vaccine. VG up 2.7, LVS up 2, Card up 1.5, Summit up 1.5, Boeing up 1.4. Boeing, Bank of America, they upgraded. They pretty much said what we said on the watch list last night. They said it's Trump's favorite stock and it's related to all of the policy. BMY is up by 1.1, co-development agreement with BioNTech. CPB up 0.6 off earnings. Vera is up 62.9, primary endpoint origin phase 3 trial. KYMR is up 34, first in-human results phase 1. BPMC up 26, Sanofi to acquire. APLD is up 10.8, update related to cloud service business. LQDA is up 9.2, schedules first commercial shipment of Eutrepia. WPDN or WBTN up by 6.
Ruckus up 2.5. First data of Castedefan plus Capo Zananatamib at ASCO. UEC is up 2.3 off earnings. BMGL up 47. TIL is up 29. BNTX Sympathy. WETO is up 26. Signs $300 million Treasury Management Agreement with Ripple. NTRB is up 24.5. Q1 revenue progress towards NDA filing. TBPH up 14. Sales remaining of royalty interest to GSK. ATAI is up by 13, merged with Beckley. BSII up 13, previously is now a business combination with General Essentials. TRVI is up 9.8, share top line results, phase 2B Coral buy or trial. MATV Insider buy up 7. Cura up 7.6, FDA acceptance priority review of NDA, IMTX up 6.7, data from ongoing phase 1B trial. Metal mining stocks trading higher on tariff comments, oil up higher on OPEC, gold and silver trading higher, and select coal stocks trading higher as well. DraftKings and Flutter down on Illinois' gambling tax proposal. XYZ down 2-1, Truist initiates sell. OMC down 2 in reaction to Meta, looking for full automation of ad creation. PayPal down 1-3, Truist initiates sell. UTHR down 1-1 in reaction to Liquidia scheduling first commercial shipment of Eutrepia. Nibis down 6.7, private placement of $1 billion of convertible notes. SAIC down 6.5 earnings. BBAI down 4.6, controlled equity offering $150 million. IPG down 1.8 in reaction to Meta. SBET down 21, $1 billion common sale agreement. XLO down 25, warrant offering. And ASTL down 11, BMO Capital downgrade. Wow! The pre-market mover. So Chad Adonia. It was something. Someone's doing XRP cash management. I forgot what. I thought that was weird too. And then I don't know if you guys noticed it. When I read my plays, you're gonna hear it, but you definitely should be watching Biotechs, Labu, any of that today because literally 90%, maybe 75% of this, it was all on there. So we'll see where it plays out. But which one was it? XRP? Yeah. WETO, W-E-T-O, signs $300 million XRP Treasury Management Agreement. So I'm assuming XRP is Ripple. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but Treasury and a ticker for a crypto, I'm going to assume. So we'll see where that leads us, but Chadadonia, oh yeah, game time, baby. And before we do any of it, before we go over the plays, before we go over more biotechs, welcome back. I hope you had a good weekend. And in that weekend, you used your freedom and you lived in this amazing country. And I hope you realize you did nothing for it. And there's people that came before you. And they're the ones that gave that sacrifice and day in and day out. As I go and enjoy the sunlight and I enjoy outside, there's people who are serving and sacrificing for this nature. That is why every single day, before we chase a dollar, before we try to enrich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made the sacrifice that most of us never have and ever will. And I'm talking about the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the cult, the people here, the people not here, I want to give a huge special shout out, active servicemen, past servicemen, anybody who has served this country, even the families for real. Thank you for everything you have given, and if anybody should be getting a long-term, getting a house, let us help, it should be you. You have fought for this nation. You deserve to own a big piece of it and benefit off of it, so I hope we could help. And if you have never served, man, I truly hope that y'all could bring this love and appreciation to the culture. We need it, and it's a good thing, and your voice has an impact. And if we honor those who have honored us already in advance, man, it leads to a good society. So don't ever forget this. And big shout out to anybody else out there giving back to their local communities: doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men, anybody making their community run, baby. God bless you and thank you. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Son of the judge! Oh, it's game time, baby. Oh, no. Oh, Chadadonia. Monday, baby. Monday. Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah. So, Chad, let's go. Let's have a good one. Let's have a good one. A lot will be in store. I need to put my desk back up. I got to stand up. I'm excited here on Monday, but Chad, that is all we got. I do have a couple of plays, but like I said, if you already got to go over the pre-market here, you could definitely tell there is a lot of biotechs and medicine. So we'll see where that takes us. But Chad Adonia, time to move on over to Gen Pop, baby. Thank you to the veterans. Shout out to all the vets and their families. Let's have a good Monday. And welcome to June, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to June. Halfway done. Yeah, I know. It's wild. So I'll see y'all in a little bit. And peace.